Everybody milking a slow news week. What's up, everybody? Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. So before we get started, make sure you like this video, subscribe if you're new here, and also leave a comment because I'm about to get on your nerves. So Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi got in some trouble earlier this week. Video surfaced of her inside a salon wearing her mask around her chin. After having her hair washed. She was apparently there for a blowout, which we can all understand, needing to get your hair did. I don't blame you for that part, Nancy, but what I do blame you for is for saying,
I take responsibility for trusting the word of a neighborhood salon that I've been to over the years many times, and that when they said, well, we're able to accommodate people one person at a time, and that we can set up that time. I trusted that. As it turns out, it was a setup. So I take responsibility for falling for a setup. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
When really you're Speaker of the House, should you not know the laws in your particular county, city, state? You're the one that on June 28th was demanding that there be a federal mandate for masks.
Is it time to mandate the wearing of masks across the country?
Oh, I definitely long overdue for that. And my understanding that the Centers for Disease Control has recommended the use of masks, but not required it because they don't want to offend the president.
And then here you are not wearing your mask. You also said that Donald Trump is supposed to set an example.
The president should be example. You know, real men wear masks. Be an example to the country. And wear the mask.
But is Donald Trump really supposed to set an example when you're not even setting an example? And I know people would say he's the president, but he's also been pretty clear about the fact that he thinks masks are bullshit, like a lot of us do. A lot of us don't feel like masks are necessary and don't feel like they're really helping, but we're all forced to wear them. So we're going to wear them like we're supposed to. And when you say,
I don't wear a mask when I'm washing my hair. Do you wear a mask when you're washing your hair?
Yes, actually I do, Nancy Pelosi. I've had my hair done twice in the last week, and I've had my hair done several times since our state was allowed to do salon services again. So I can honestly say, yes, I do wear a mask when I'm getting my hair washed. I wear a mask the entire time I'm in the salon, and that's the way it's been since all of this has started. I wear a mask even though I think that this is all bullshit, like I've already said, when it comes to the mask. So if I'm willing to do it and I'm just me and have no obligation and haven't been pushing for a federal mandate, I don't know how you would think that you're above wearing a mask. I'm beginning to feel like a lot of the people that are pretending that they're really gung-ho on masks and they think that we should live life a particular way are really just full of shit and saying things just basically as lip service to make people happy, but really they either don't believe it or they don't believe it applies to them, because otherwise, what's going on? What bothered me, though, I will tell you, is that I saw a lot of people saying it must have been a slow news week and the Republicans must really be desperate to be bringing this up about Nancy Pelosi. And then, not even 2 days later, The Atlantic posted an article from an anonymous source saying that Trump referred to our slain service members as losers and suckers, and that he didn't want to go to a cemetery in France because he didn't want to mess up his hair. Now, there's a lot to do with hair going on right now in the news, and I gotta say, I don't know what was going on with Donald Trump and his hair, or, well, nobody knows what's going on with Donald Trump and his hair, but I don't know what that particular situation actually played out like, because it's hearsay. And when you're given a story that's hearsay and it's from an anonymous source, I know that I watched somebody on CNN say just because it's an anonymous source doesn't mean it's an anonymous source to the reporter, that the reporter vets the source. Well, what if I don't trust that reporter? What if I don't just trust that reporter's word? What if I want the person to actually own their words? If you're going to say it, then come out and say it. Don't come out as an anonymous source and try to act like I'm supposed to just trust the reporter's word that you're a reliable person. I'm not going to do that. And I have to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt, because a lot of stuff that I even hear for myself or see for myself is taken out of context, or said in a way where it's different tone and inflection than what was actually used at the time of the conversation. So really, they're trying to make this like it's this big smoking gun and everybody's supposed to be so concerned with it. But to me, this is another example of grab her by the if you actually heard that within the context, yeah, it may have been foul and a lot of people may not have agreed with them saying it, but it wasn't what people were trying to make it when they were like, it's sexual assault. And he was talking about women that he actually deals with. And if you know anything about my dealings with men and the way that I talk to the guys that I date and the way that I am with the guys that I date, yeah, you might hear me say something similar to that, but I'm not dealing with so I would definitely use a different word. I just posted something on my Instagram that lets you know how I talk to people. Does that mean I don't respect guys? Does that even mean I don't respect the guys that I date or the guys that I hook up with? No, not necessarily. It's just that there's a certain way that I'll talk to people if I'm trying to pick up on them or if I'm trying to have some sort of sexual relationship with them, so that it keeps things very clear, in my opinion, so that they know exactly what it is I'm getting at and there's no misunderstanding about what it is I'm trying to say and what it is I'm trying to do. And that might have been the same with Donald Trump. And you could say that that's like a less than gentlemanly way to handle something, but at the same time, that's the way some of us operate. So if you don't like it, don't date that person, don't hang out with them, don't them, none of it, don't do it. But don't try to tell me it's meant a particular way and that suddenly it's sexual assault and I'm supposed to just take your word for it when I already heard for myself and I've decided as an adult what I think the context of that was or how I think that plays out. But the way that the Democrats are really screwing themselves when it comes to these kinds of things is that the more that you spread misinformation, the less people believe you. The more you're a boy who cried wolf story, the more you're a boy who cried wolf story. And that's just the way it works out. It's not been an effective strategy. And that's one of the things I've talked about the most when it comes to the Democratic Party, is they don't adjust their behavior, their message, their tactics. They continue to go with the same stuff that already hasn't worked. So if you want to continue to float that and continue to further solidify the people that are already on your side, then I'm fine with you doing that. But understand that you're not pulling in any new voters. Nobody is looking at what you're saying about Donald Trump and being like, wow, I had no idea he had said that. He's just a terrible person. Like, the people that were going to vote for him are still going to vote for him. Nobody really cares about that. You can't feed me something from an anonymous source and take it somewhat out of context or at all out of context and expect me to believe you. Not everything you say has been true. And then, you take the Rosie O'Donnell situation when they're like, he said that women are pigs. And like, of course, he made a joke about it and was like, I said that about Rosie O'Donnell. But the fact of the matter is, that's true. That's sometimes the way you talk about one person and not necessarily what you think about all of that particular group. For example, the guy I'm dating right now is Filipino. I posted about this on Facebook the other day. He's Filipino, I'm Mexican. He called me a dirty Mexican the other day, and of course he was doing it in a flirting way. And then I told him that since he's Filipino, he's part monkey and he's from tree climbing people. Now, do I feel that way about all Filipinos? Maybe, but that's my business, and that's not what we're talking about right now. What I'm trying to get at is I may not feel that way about all Filipinos. Even right now, when I'm joking and being silly, I was really just having fun with the guy that I'm dating. So yes, I was joking with him that way, but to frame it where now that's the way I feel about all Filipinos, no. Does he think all Mexicans are dirty? Maybe he does. But when he said it to me, he meant it in a very particular context. And if you know, like I said earlier, the way I am with people, he has a reason to call me a dirty Mexican. And I have done dirty things with this guy. So that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way he feels about Mexicans on the street, or even that's the way he feels about Mexicans in general. It's just, we were having fun. With Donald Trump and Rosie O'Donnell, if you knew their situation, they were going at each other for quite a while there, and they were both saying horrendous stuff to each other. But nobody ever goes back to Rosie and is like, is this the way you feel about all men? It's like, no, nobody thinks that. And you could argue, it's because she's not the president or she wasn't running for president, but you can't apply the rules really strictly to one person and then with the other person be completely willing to forgive. And that's my problem with Nancy Pelosi. Do I have a problem with the fact that she was in a salon? No, I do not. Do I have a problem with the fact that Democrats completely tried to sweep that under the rug and act like it wasn't a big deal and it must have been a slow news day? But then when it comes to Donald Trump and you've got an anonymous source, suddenly I'm supposed to take that seriously. I say on both sides, it just seems like people need to figure out an actual strategy and let's talk about what we're supposed to talk about. Like within the context of what's going on, I would say that Nancy Pelosi's is a bigger violation because when you're demanding a federal mandate for something and you're not even willing to respect those guidelines, that's a bigger case of hypocrisy to me than Donald Trump possibly referring to service members as losers and suckers. Because depending on the particular war, I think a lot of people feel like the Vietnam vets did get suckered. Some of those young guys really did get suckered into losing their lives or losing their limbs or PTSD, all for stuff that turned out not to be what everybody thought it was. And that's what happens with a lot of wars. Is later on we end up finding out, like even when it came to weapons of mass destruction, 9/11, and it's just like it goes deeper and deeper. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people have been suckered. A lot of our service members have been suckered. Losers, though, I don't know if I would necessarily go that far, but I also don't know the context in which he said it exactly. I did read the Atlantic article, but it left a lot to be desired as far as context within the surroundings. So you guys can do what you want with this information, but I personally don't feel like this is all the most on the up and up as far as what they want us to pay attention to and what they want us to forget. And when it comes to Nancy Pelosi, rather than asking the salon owner for an apology or saying that they owed her an apology for setting her up,
I think that that this salon owes me an apology for setting up.
I think she should apologize for not knowing the particular laws, guidelines, mandates in her particular area, in her particular state. That's the way I really feel about it. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think down in the comments. I appreciate you guys watching. And as always, this has been Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.